Today, we are going to talk about sleep. More importantly, we're going to talk about creating an environment and habits and a routine to work on your sleep quality. Okay. A lot of us get enough sleep. Maybe we have, we go to bed at 9, wake up at 6, but the quality of our sleep isn't quite there. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. So to start off, who has a reason why sleep is important? Unmute yourself, put it in the chat, whatever you want.
Build muscle.
Build muscle. Good. What else?
Reset your circadian rhythm.
Okay. How about some non-coaches?
Brain health.
Okay.
Recovery.
Yep. Awesome. Anything else?
Brain fog.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mental
It's a
health.
period of. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was gonna say it's a period of time when your body heals itself.
Definitely. Yeah. So go ahead. So definitely all the things y'all talked about, absolutely true. It comes to like muscle growth. A lot of hormone regulation happens when you sleep to optimize your hormones for muscle growth, muscle hunger, and metabolism. A lot of us here are here to, gain muscle, lose fat, things like that. And one of the big our impaired sleep is very largely correlated with weight gain because of the issues with hormone regulation. It's just one thing, but also energy, exactly like y'all talked about. If I don't have energy, I'm not going to get out and move and go work out and focus and do the things that we need to do, that we know we need to do in order to hit our goals. Also, like I said, y'all said brain fog, stuff like that, cognitive function, concentration, productivity, so that way you can do well at your job, all that type of stuff. Overall health, immune function. Sleep is very important for your immune function. Also reduces risk long-term, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, all sorts of stuff. All right, so sleep is really, really important. It's not just about giving you energy for the day. I mean, that is a huge part of it, but there's so many things that happen while you sleep for your body to heal, to be the best it possibly can be. All right, so now we're going to talk about your sleep cycle. And Kat was touching on that a second ago. So this is kind of a very good way to judge your quality of sleep. Again, a lot of people get their 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Maybe their sleep quality isn't there. And then some people don't get enough sleep and don't get enough quality. But we do track our sleep. We have y'all track sleep with watches, things like that. And this kind of screen on the left is often like one of the things it kind of looks like when it shows you your sleep. It sometimes looks different. I think this is from Fitbit. So all the apps kind of look differently, but they kind of give you an idea. So we're going to talk about this so y'all can understand your sleep cycle. So sleep cycle is broken up into 4 stages. You may see 5 stages from some places. That's typically like an older science. Nowadays, we kind of combine a couple and make it 4 stages. You go through all 4 stages, usually 4 to 6 times per night, depending on how long you sleep and what your quality is. Each cycle typically lasts between 90 minutes and 2 hours on average. There's definitely some variation there. First 3 stages are your non-REM stages. And they go from very light, which is typically like the first few minutes when you're first falling asleep, and then goes into your kind of light sleep. And then in non-REM stage 3 is your deep sleep. And then it goes into your REM sleep. And it cycles between those, like I said, about 4 to 6 times per night. All right. As a fun fact, for some of you who struggle with like grogginess in the morning or like when napping, stage 2 is typically the best time to wake up in because it's in that light sleep. So you don't wake up super groggy. And then you don't typically go back into your stage 1 since that's that initial phase. So there's some alarms that'll like connect to your watch that'll wake you up in that stage as close to your alarm that you set as possible. So that's kind of a fun thing to try out. You can find some of those. There's apps and on your watches and phones and things like that that are cool little tools. It's also why people talk about napping is around the 30-minute mark is the best time frame to nap in, because you don't go into deep sleep or REM sleep, and so it doesn't throw off your circadian rhythm and it doesn't leave you groggy when you wake up. So let's dive into a little bit more about the stages. Stage 3, our deep sleep, and our REM sleep are typically considered maybe not the most important. All stages are important, but these are the ones that we look at when we look at our sleep quality. All right. Our stuff, for stage 3, hormone regulation, tissue repair, detoxing your body. Most of that happens in that stage. And then REM sleep, a lot of cognitive benefits, and our emotional regulation occurs in this time period. All right. So when we talk about our quality, if you look over here on the left side, we see deep sleep, about an hour and 26 minutes, and REM sleep, about an hour and 35 minutes. We want those are good times because we want between 90 minutes and 2 hours total between these two, or each, excuse me, in order to have good quality sleep. Usually makes up about 25% of our total time sleeping for each one of those. All right. So what was Kat, that client you were talking about, what was his REM sleep last night?
Oh, it was much better. Let me pull it up. So not to call him out, but Bruce has been struggling with only hitting his REM cycle.
Go ahead and call me out. It's okay. I understand.
With only he's only hitting his REM cycle 1 to 2 times through the night. What we're trying to work on is exactly that, the quality. So last night he ended up hitting the REM cycle 4 times last night. That's the most he's hit. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually, like when we talk about quality, yeah, we want to hit deep in REM cycles at least 4 times to get the total amount of minutes. And over one of the things you could also see in your cycles, a lot of interruptions. You may see like disturbances or awake time here on this left side. When you have a lot of those disturbances, that's another indicator of low quality sleep. Hopefully, if you have good quality sleep throughout the night, your REM and deep sleep cycles will get longer and your light sleep cycle will get shorter. So that's one other thing you want to look out on. If you're not getting that, if you're not spending more time towards the end of your night into deep sleep and REM sleep, it's also another sign of your sleep quality being down. Excuse me. So I know.
So based off of this, would you consider this good, bad, okay, Jacob? Like this one right here.
This would definitely be decent. He does get the amount of sleep pretty close to what we need, about an hour and a half on both. The total amount is the total percentage is a little bit low, only because he spends more time in light sleep because there's a couple of disturbances. This person wakes up and then has to go back into the initial light phase. So is not perfect, but it's definitely not bad sleep quality. That makes sense. So as you can see, like looking on here, starts from awake, goes straight into light sleep, kind of wakes back up, and then into deep sleep, and then into REM sleep. And it follows that cycle. And then it goes light, deep, he gets awake, comes back to light, and it goes straight into REM. So there's sometimes that'll happen. Typically it follows into the cycle exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, but it sometimes goes off like that. But this would definitely not be necessarily bad sleep, but not perfect because he wakes up in there. If that makes sense. Sometimes it'll look a little bit different. Sometimes it'll be like a circle graph and it won't necessarily show you the stages like this. It'll just show you how much you have in each. But typical around 25% in REM and deep, usually about 45% in stage 2 or light sleep, and then 5% in the lightest, which in this one, it combines the 2 lowest stages, just a light sleep, which is not uncommon. So you may just see it in light sleep as well. But anywhere around 90 minutes of each REM and deep, and you're getting usually pretty good quality sleep. All right, so I know I talked a lot there. Anybody have any questions about that? No? All right.
I'll just add to definitely be looking at this stuff, guys, just because we always say obviously what gets measured gets managed. So you're not necessarily having to put in your spreadsheet like how much deep sleep you're getting, how much light sleep you're getting, that type of thing. But just keep an eye on it and see how it tracks over a week and see what adjustments you could possibly make if the percentages aren't looking like they should, right? So good to keep an eye on this.
Yeah, and again, like you could get 8 hours of sleep and not get enough deep sleep or REM sleep, and you did not have a good quality night's sleep. You could get more than that and still not get enough, right? You could wake up 6, 7 times in the middle of the night. All of these things work to decrease your sleep quality, and that hurts your hormone regulation, that hurts your cognitive function, that hurts all these type of things. And for us and for our goals, we know how important those are. So this is another thing that we have to focus on, and it's something that maybe doesn't get a lot of glamour. It's not very popular, but is very important. It's one of the little things that we need to be doing to get right in order to hit our goals.
I do have one thing, Jacob, sorry.
Go for it.
So in regards to our sleep cycle, right, which is one of the things like I'm working with Bruce on, right? We need our nervous system to be in a calm state of mind at bedtime, right? So that's why meditation is so important. Equally, warmth really helps to calm our nervous system. So taking a hot shower right before you crawl into bed, making sure you have like a sound machine on, even using a heating pad sometimes, like laying that on your chest, right? Having sleepy time tea. Will is on here. He does tea at bedtime, right? Like those things calm your nervous system. So you will get better quality sleep if your nervous system is regulated at bedtime.
That's what my whole presentation's on, Kat.
Did I just steal your thunder, dude?
Yes, you can go through. I'll send you the presentation. You can just go do the rest of it for me if you want.
No, I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
an
good.
asshole. I'm sorry.
No,
I
you're
had
good.
no idea. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good. You're good. You're good. I'm love it. I'm glad you're on my side, so you can say it too. You reiterate everything. It's good.
I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut the rest of the time. Okay.
You're good. You're good. So exactly what we talked about, the environment. So we will get into warmth here in a sec, but actually while in your bedroom and when you're going to sleep, a cool temperature is actually very good for your sleep as well. Warmth is absolutely very important. We will talk about that later too. While sleeping, a good cool room temperature for some people really hate the cold. And so whatever works for you is always going to be what's best. But a good cool temperature and very, dark minimal light exposure can help with your sleep quality by promoting melatonin production. All right. So one of the best tips I have for this that's worked very well for me is not just having a dark room, but turning off the lights in my house, in my apartment. Whenever I know I need to start getting sleep, all the lights go off. I use night lights to get around the apartment, get around the house. That way, you're creating that environment that signals to your body that you should be getting to sleep. All right. Again, all this by creating the environment to train your body that when you do these things, it is time for good quality sleep. And that's going to help out a lot. So other ways to work on, decreasing core body temperature to help with the sleep, because when your body temperature rises, that's part of the circadian rhythm telling you that you should be waking up. That's part of what happens when that circadian rhythm and that into your sleep cycle, it warms your body back up to awaken. So if the temperature gets too warm, again, a little bit different than warm tea and things like that. But if your temperature gets too warm, then it actually is able to like wake your body up a little bit. So you can try breathable sleepwear, cotton, bamboo fibers, things like that. Lightweight cooling bed materials. I have like these cooling sheets that help keep me cool whenever I'm going to sleep. Cooling mattress pads, pillows, things like that as well. Anybody try any of those type of things, the bedding materials or anything like that to help them sleep?
Yeah, we have bamboo sheets and I love them.
Nice.
I have a weighted blanket.
Yeah, that's a great one. Absolutely.
If I ever close on my new house, I will have a mattress and a pillow that does cooling, but time is my enemy right now, or whatever. Patience is a virtue.
Nice. Yeah.
Age
Anybody else?
memory foam.
Memory foam? Yeah.
I have an adjustable bed.
Yeah. Do you use like cooling bed materials or anything like that?
Yes. Yeah, we have the cooling sheets.
Nice. And then I want to go back real fast. Renee, you asked a question, when is the best time to take a nap? So really, as long as the nap is not too long, it won't impact your circadian rhythm too much. Again, trying to get in around that 30-minute mark, so you don't get into deep sleep. Will usually not have too much of an effect on your sleep at night. But earlier in the day is better to take that nap. So if you try to nap, at 8 o'clock at night, it may impact your sleep a little bit more. But as long as you don't get in too much into that deep sleep, you should be okay.
Okay, because usually what I do is I take the power nap between noon and 2:30. But after that, I feel that if I did it once at around 3:30 and I wasn't able to sleep, so I sort of kind of know when, but I was trying just to make sure I wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you should be good like I said, as long as it doesn't get too long. That way, because once you get into that deep and REM sleep, it starts throwing off your circadian rhythm a little bit. So
Okay. Thank you.
Can you elaborate on this circadian rhythm? Like, what is that exactly?
Yeah, so sorry, I should have talked about that earlier. So the circadian rhythm is kind of like your body's natural rhythm and wake and sleep cycles. So throughout the day, there's lots of little things that are happening in your body, hormones, metabolic, functions, and all these different reactions going on in your body. And over throughout the day, what is happening changes to allow for. In the morning, you have a lot of hormones, things like that, to get you ready to go, to get you awake, things like that. And then over time, things shift in your body to start getting ready for sleep, and that's that rhythm. And if you establish that rhythm and the times and the routines, it's going to allow you to get a better sleep. But if you start trying to sleep in the middle of the day, or you do a couple other things that we'll talk about a little bit later, it might throw that off. And then your body it's 8 o'clock at night and your body is thinking it needs to still be awake when in reality you want it to start sleeping, if that makes sense. Any other questions?
Yes. So, is it better to sleep in like, sleepwear, or is it worse if you decide to just like not wear anything at all when you sleep? Does that have anything to like do with that? Is it going to affect anything?
If that helps you sleep, go for it. Some people don't like wearing a lot of clothes when they sleep, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, as long as you're getting good sleep quality, right? And that works for a lot. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yo,
Anything else?
Jacob, Lewis is asking about grounding sheets. Not sure what that is.
Can't pull up my chat.
He
Anyway,
just says, how do you feel about grounding sheets?
what are grounding sheets? I've not heard of that.
Okay, yeah, me either.
Grounding is like when you go outside and like walk in the grass or walk in
Yeah,
the
I've
mud.
heard of
It's like
that.
discharges your. That's what the sheets are supposed to do. Discharge.
Okay.
I don't know. Whoever asked might be able to explain it better, but that I don't. Outside of that, I've never really tried a grounding sheet. I've heard of it. People have sworn by it, but I don't know.
Yeah, Lewis, do you have any feedback on that? I think he's out for a walk too, so you might have just asked him.
Kat, you got anything on that?
I actually don't, just beyond what Matt is saying. I mean, the whole concept behind grounding, right, is like using your senses, right? So touch, smell, sight, hearing. So making sure you're grounded within your senses. So I would imagine grounding sheets or what Matt's saying, like somehow it helps you. I don't know.
Yeah, it's supposed to just help with like inflammation and stuff, because essentially what the theory is like we have all these waves going through our body, right? In this day and age where they didn't have that before, obviously, because you have like the radio waves, like the Wi-Fi wave, like all this shit going through your body. And by like you like essentially release it by walking in the grass, covering yourself with mud. Like I've seen this dude that lived in the forest, and he was essentially like going under his house and like covering himself with mud and stuff. So that's like the extreme case. But I know a guy that I used to work for, and he was like telling me all about like, hey, do this grounding thing. And it's essentially what it is. It's like a sheet, and then you connect it to like the ground in your outlet, and you just sleep like that. So you're discharging the entire time you're sleeping. Again, it's just supposed to help with like inflammation and stuff like that, because they're saying that a lot of that, the waves going through your bodies and stuff, is what's causing inflammation, cancer, these type of things. So that's really all I know about it. I haven't really met anybody that's just done it for like years and just swears by it, except for this one guy that he kind of just sounded like he was starting it. But it's about all I know on the topic.
Well, hey, it sounds good. If you have good sleep quality, go for it, man.
Yeah, like it's definitely not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, it's not gonna hurt.
So
all right. Now talk about probably the hardest one for all of us. I know it's the hardest for me, but our screens are keeping us awake at night. So the blue light comes off our screens, suppresses melatonin production, because your brain is getting stimulated by this light and the colors and all this type of stuff. And again, it's telling your body to be awake and not be asleep. So very good practice. Again, it's probably the hardest for most of us, to cut off 30 minutes at least before bed, no screens. very least, there's some ways you can make this a little bit better. Blue light glasses is one. Doesn't work for some people, works for others. But they're basically glasses you wear that have like blue light filters on them. So that allows you to look at screens and not get as much blue light off of them. A lot of our phones actually have nighttime modes. I think iPhone calls it like nighttime mode or something along those lines. And then Android, I've heard all sorts of stuff like eye shield mode and stuff like that. But you can usually find these in your settings, your phone, and it'll change the color scheme and change the brightness level of your phone screen to it's a little bit more warmer tone, so it's not going to have quite as strong of an effect on your mind. You can also just, for some of the devices, just decreasing the brightness, changing the TVs. You can usually change like the color scheme and things like that. Best bet is always to just cut it off through 30 minutes before you go to bed. No screens. Find some other stuff. We're going to talk about some practices you can do before you go to bed to help out. You can read, listen to music, journal, things like that. But cutting off your screen is definitely something that's going to have a big impact on you. I know it's one of the things that's had the biggest impact on my sleep quality is shutting that off before you go to bed. Anybody do this already?
I do. I always read before I go to bed. So I've got a couple books right beside the bed on the I read before I go to bed.
Nice. Has anybody tried blue light glasses? No.
That's what I wear every day to
I
work.
have.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, and if you're someone who works at a computer screen a lot, like you said, you work on computers all day long, it can be definitely something that can benefit you for sure. Anybody else wear blue light glasses?
I do.
Nice.
I
You
do
feel like
whenever I have my contacts.
nice. Awesome.
I wear it like if I'm gaming, so that way I don't hurt my
Yeah.
eyes too much.
Definitely. Yeah.
Me being a nurse, I'm in front of a computer all day. I should, but I don't.
Well, hey, something to try. I don't think they're
Yeah.
very expensive, and you can usually get them off of Amazon. And so, though some people find they work really well. Some people don't find they work as well. Again, there's gonna be lots of things on here. We want to find the things that work best for us and create a routine out of it. All right, but at the very least, decrease brightness. Turn on those like nighttime modes when best you can. If you do end up doing some work late and things like that, those can still be somewhat effective for helping your body get to sleep. All right. Background noise. So disruptions are one of the things we definitely want to limit when we try to get some good sleep. There's lots of noise outside or, in your house or whatever it is that can wake you up. And we want to avoid that. There are some sounds that also promote relaxation. Most of us have probably heard about white noise machines, but there's also pink noise, there's brown noise, there's blue noise, there's tons of different types of noises that all have different frequencies and different pitches and things like that allow you to sound. Some people do better with certain sounds than others. For me personally, I prefer pink noise. Actually, it's a little bit softer and helps me sleep a little bit better. There's some different types of noises actually have different effects. So like brown noise is supposed to be very good for productivity and things like that and focus. So there's a ton of different things that you can experiment with, but white noise, pink noise are very common for sleep. And then nature sounds, rain, waves, and stuff like that can also be very beneficial in promoting relaxation and creating that environment that allows you to sleep. Two really great apps are the Calm app and the Better Sleep app. A lot of you have probably already heard of the Calm app. We talk about it a lot through things like meditations and stuff like that. And the Better Sleep app is something that I've used personally. It allows you to like custom make all these different soundtracks. You can add, pink noise, and you can add nature sounds, and you can add all these different things that kind of custom make it to a track that works really well for you. And you can have a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. So that's one that I personally use. Does anybody else use like Calm or Better Sleep, or does anybody know of a different app that they use to help with relaxation, soundscape, stuff like that?
I don't know of a better app, but my health insurance, they paid for a lifetime subscription for me for free.
To Calm?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
When I use it, yeah, it works good.
when you use it. So it sounds like you need to use it every night.
No, I don't use it every night.
Sounds like you need to though.
I probably should,
If it
especially
works.
working these doubles.
Yeah. So, and then we'll talk about this more here in a second. I'm talking about like those long shifts and stuff like that. Whenever your sleep schedule changes, having this routine and having these practices in place where you create an environment will help you get better sleep, even when your shift changes, even when you're trying to go to sleep at a different time. Still creating this environment will still help with that. So, does anybody else use Calm or a different app to help them go to sleep?
I had Renee share earlier with me that he uses Rise Sleep. I believe was the name of the app. Never heard of that one. So that was the first time I heard of it today. So Renee's on here. I'm not sure if he has some feedback on that.
So I did, and the way it works, it basically calculates your debt ratio of how much sleep you're supposed to be getting, and it looks at your time that you go to sleep, but it does reminders of when is the best time where your melatonin is in effect, so for you to be in bed. So it gives you little tips too. One of the things that it did is actually told me that I was in a sleep debt, meaning that I wasn't sleeping enough. So what he recommended was try to sleep a little more on the weekend to catch up. But it also mentioned not to do it often because it throws you off and it affects everything, which it did. So this week is like I'm sleeping a lot better. But what it also does is it allows you to adjust. So if you want to adjust the times, it will also recommend how it can be adjusted. And so if you want to go to bed early, it will actually help you do that. But it does an adjustment. It will give you kind of a week and a window so you can change it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you're getting better sleep. And yeah, so one thing we'll talk about later is about consistency and catching up on sleep. Sometimes we do need to do that, but we don't want to get into that habit, exactly like you said, of sleeping 5 hours 5 days a week and then 9 hours 2 days a week. That will kind of mess with our sleep schedule a little bit. But sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to catch up a little bit. But hopefully we're not doing that all the time. All right.
So I use a fan, and I've been using a fan for most of my life. If I don't use that fan, I don't sleep much
Yeah.
at all.
That's
So
similar.
I even carry one of those little USB fans and a battery pack even when I'm camping in the woods like I'll be doing for the next 4 days. I've even got that. But the only time that I sleep for 8 hours is when I'm in the woods, sleeping on the ground. Other than that, 5, 6 hours, that's all I ever get. Period.
Sounds like you need to go sleep outside every night.
I don't know that Melissa would agree with that, but
No, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, fans are a great form of like white noise, background noise, something consistent that allows your kind of brain to get in that not a lot of disruptions, but it's consistent and it tells your body like, hey, it's time to sleep. Consistency, that environment, that is a good signal to your brain. That's what we want to. That's what we're shooting for here. All right. Now talking about my personal favorite, aromatherapy. All right. So exactly like I was talking about earlier, your body uses all these different senses, and each one signals your body and your brain to do different things. So they all affect sleep, including your smell. There are some scents that promote relaxation and a good sleep environment. Lavender is like one of the most common ones. Is commonly looked at. It's been researched a lot to help with anxiety and improving sleep, things like that. But some really good tools are wax warmers, diffusers, or just essential oils in a spray bottle that's diluted. But all these things are really great for creating that environment. Me personally, I love wax warmers. I have multiple throughout my house, and so when it's time to go to sleep, they all come on, and they're creating a good, nice, calming, relaxing environment to allow me to sleep. I use a diffuser in the bedroom just because I don't want to leave wax warmers on all night. But diffusers are a really, really great tool. Essential oils, all that type of stuff. So like I said, lavender is most commonly talked about scent when it comes to this type of thing, but there's tons of them. Chamomile, jasmine, rose are also on here. There's lots of others. Some people do really well with like cinnamon and woodsy scents and stuff like that. For someone like Eric who loves to sleep outside, maybe some nature or woodsy scents might be really beneficial for you. But lots of different sleeps can promote relaxation and reducing anxiety and helping you create that environment. But again, it's just all about having that in your room, having that throughout your house, setting that schedule so that you're starting these things 30 minutes before you go to bed and allowing your body to relax. Relaxation is really, really huge for sleep. Anybody try aromatherapy or anything like this?
I do occasionally.
You do, Missy? What scents do you use?
I don't have specifics. I just use what I like.
What do you like?
Lavender is
Lavender.
one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And exactly like Kat was talking about earlier, warm showers, using shower steamers, using Epsom salts, things like that. I love personally taking baths and using Epsom salts to help me get into the sleep mood. There are some Epsom salts and shower steamers and stuff like that are like a sleep mix that has like lavender scents and stuff like that to promote melatonin production and promote sleep and things like that. Those are some great tools too. Like I said, this is my personal favorite. It's one that's had a very big impact on my sleep quality. So I definitely would encourage other people to use it. The only disclaimer I will give is that some essential oils and diffusers, you want to be careful if you are sleeping with your pet. Some essential oils do have some negative effects on pets, so you've got to be careful with that type of stuff. If your pet's not in the room, it won't be a problem. But anybody have questions about aromatherapy or anything?
I don't have a question about it, but I don't know. I try something a little different, which I don't know if it's, it works for anybody else. What I do, not before that I go to bed, but I actually take my shoes off and I walk on the ground outside for like 15 minutes. And then I take a hot shower, but it seems to calm me down just, I don't know, walking around without shoes.
Yeah, that's like grounding and what you were talking about, and then goes into like the warmth and relaxation for the shower. That's awesome. And does that work? It sounds like that works for you.
It actually does some, I mean, I feel different. I can tell you that I
Yeah.
feel a difference on my sleeping.
Yeah, almost in having a routine, almost no matter what it is, but having a routine helps your body get into this right state you want it to be in of sleep. So if you're doing something every night when it's bedtime, it's going to help you get to sleep. But grounding and warm showers is already a great tool. So doing that consistently at night will help you get to sleep. That's awesome. Anybody else? See a couple things in the chat here. Sleep apnea machine. Yep. Yep. Vanilla bourbon whiskey wax melts are great. Yep. I definitely love vanilla myself. I use vanilla a lot as well. And then yeah, wax melts, wax warmers I love using those. I love the warmth and the smell they give off. Anybody else? Anybody have a favorite scent that's like kind of out there, like not normal?
My favorite scent is coffee.
Dude, me too. I love the smell of
I,
coffee.
especially if it's like a caramel salted candle. I love it.
I've never heard of like coffee scented candles and stuff, but now I'm absolutely looking for that. I am.
No, they 100% exist.
I believe you.
They're freaking awesome.
I love that smell. John, peppermint is a really awesome scent, but it actually wakes you up. So don't do that when you're trying to get to sleep. That's a great scent, though. I love the scent.
What about gun?
Do what?
Yeah, it's a gunpowder.
It helps you get to sleep, whatever works. Eucalyptus is a great one. Rosemary, mint. Yeah, mint is something that can often like wake you up, so do be careful with that, but it is a great scent. It's really good. Like if you do like peppermint mochas in the morning, like peppermint coffee, I promise that'll perk you up. I sometimes do like peppermint extract to make like a peppermint coffee, and it'll wake you up, I promise. Lemongrass, Angela, that's a good one. Nice. All right, let's move on. So food and what we eat and what we put in our body impacts our sleep. Imagine that. So some compounds that have been shown that could potentially improve sleep in some people are things like magnesium, and then of course melatonin and tryptophan. Magnesium is actually becoming more and more popular these days as like a really, really potent supplement for sleep, as well as some other things. But sleep, I know lots of doctors prescribe high dosages supplements of magnesium to help with sleep. But you can commonly find magnesium in lots of foods: spinach, other green leafy vegetables, almonds, nuts, seeds, whole grains. Dark chocolate, for those dark chocolate lovers, as long as it doesn't have a bunch of sugar and other stuff in it, is a great tool to help you fall asleep. Melatonin, of course, we know melatonin is important for our sleep. It's definitely present in a lot of foods, and there's a lot of foods that kind of help promote it. Tart cherry juice, another food / supplement that's becoming really, really popular for lots of different things these days. Very strong anti-inflammatory as well. But that's a great one to help with melatonin and has magnesium as well. More almonds, nuts, seeds, things like that. Fatty foods, or fatty fishes, excuse me, salmon, the omega-3s in there also helps really with the hormone production and all the good sleep quality as well. And then tryptophan. How many of you heard as a kid growing up that big turkey dinners made you sleepy? Anybody hear that? Oh, come on. I know lots of y'all heard about that turkey putting you to sleep.
Yeah, Thanksgiving
I've
for
never
sure.
heard of that, but I
You
heard
never
of
heard
like
that?
getting the itis, like the sleep itis. I never heard of that though.
Yeah, so a lot of people often talk about turkey around Thanksgiving times and holidays.
Turkey
Putting
coma.
Yep, it has tryptophan in it, and that's along like serotonin and melatonin and that type of stuff. Tryptophan kind of helps with the production of those. So that's part of like why it makes you kind of sleepy. Milk, nuts and seeds again. So warm milk is the other one, the kind of the classic sleep aid drink, warm milk. That's because warmth help promoting relaxation, and then milk does have tryptophan. Milk and dairy in general has some tryptophan, but it's in general that warm milk, having that warm, relaxing drink can help you go to sleep at night too. Warm milk and dark chocolate, make a nice warm hot chocolate. There you go. You got a great little tool for helping you get to sleep. But again, all these things are about consistency in your routine. If you just go have some almonds tonight, it's not going to put you to sleep necessarily, but all these little things can add up to potentially helping you improve your sleep quality. And there's some things that can disrupt your sleep. Caffeine, of course, any stimulants are going to be a big one. So some people don't get impacted by caffeine as much as others. Some people are still able to get plenty of sleep. But if you feel like you're one of those people, I encourage you to look at your sleep tracking watch and see if your quality is there. You now know how to look at your sleep quality and assess it. Caffeine is definitely something that can interfere with sleep onset and your sleep quality. It does. I like to encourage people to think about when you're drinking your last bit of caffeine if you're having trouble going to sleep. So go for it, Edwin. What's your question?
Sorry. That's when I have my question is I work in as military police, so when I'm actually working, caffeine is like my crutch. So I normally stick to one a day, but sometimes two, and I definitely notice how that affects my sleep, but it's kind of hard trying to push through a 14-hour shift when you don't have like a stimulant or something. So like I was wondering like what are some like alternatives that can be a little bit healthier? Because I'm on vacation right now, so I completely cut energy drinks. So I have like a headache a little bit, but I just cut it off. But when I'm working, I kind of rely on that. Is there like anything like that could be a healthy alternative for that?
Yeah. So, and one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit later when we talk about exercise, there are like non-stimulant versions of pre-workouts and things like that, non-stimulant versions of energy drinks that will still help you get energy, but with not having the caffeine, not having that specific stimulant in them that allows it. But the other thing I want to encourage you, even if you have so some things that are pulling away from your sleep quality, like caffeine, or we're going to talk about exercise here in a little bit, that just means you need to put more effort on all these other things to improve your sleep quality, right? Just because you have one thing that's interfering, don't let that think, oh, I can't get good sleep now. There's a ton of other tools in your tool belt to improve your sleep quality.
Yeah, because I'll be lucky if I get like 3 hours of sleep after a 14-hour shift.
Yeah.
I just wake up and get right back into it.
Yeah. So having a really good routine is going to be, and creating good environment is going to be really helpful for you.
Okay.
All right. So when it comes to caffeine, again, it doesn't affect everybody the same necessarily. Just check your quality and see how you do. But it has a half-life around 5 hours, 4 to 6 hours, meaning that about half of it is still in your body about 5 hours later. So if you drink, 100 milligrams at 2 p.m., at 7 p.m., you still have roughly 50 milligrams in your body. And again, some people don't get as affected by it as others. Some people have a little more tolerant to it, or there's lots of conditions that makes it to where caffeine doesn't affect you the same way. But even if you feel that way, I encourage you to look at your quality of sleep and assess it and see if you need to make changes. But just understanding the timing of caffeine and the stimulants that you put in your body will be really beneficial for you. So, of course, around 8 hours, if you can, 8 hours before you start going to sleep, try to cut out caffeine as much as possible. Spicy foods or just big, heavy meals in general also can cause indigestion, spend a lot of energy on digestion. And so it makes it kind of hard for your body to go to sleep. Your body's still doing all these processes in your body, in the stomach and the digestive system to get this going. These are things that can definitely make it harder to go to sleep, causing you discomfort, chest pain, stuff like that. Again, some people aren't affected by it, but it's just something to consider. If you do see yourself having bad sleep quality, I want you to assess what you've been doing, be honest, and have good self-awareness, and see where changes need to be made. Anyone have anything else I'd like to add here? I know another big one we will talk about a little bit more here in a sec, but teas, like Kat talked about, sleepy time teas, warm teas, warm drinks, things like that are really good. This also kind of connects with scent and aromatherapy. You're smelling a warm drink that's helping you relax. That's kind of getting a 2-for-1 on that. But does anybody else have foods or anything like unique that they like to help them with sleep? Nobody else? Nobody else has anything unique? Any other foods that they like that helps them fall asleep? Drinks?
I had a protein pie every night before bed.
Protein pie?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it fills me up.
You make it yourself?
No, I usually make some pies. I don't make no pies. But I got some good recipes if you guys are looking for some good recipes on like dessert. Cause I always we eat dinner around like 5:30, and then I'll have like a protein shake after dinner too, just to keep me satiated until later. But then like I gotta have something before bed, because like going to bed for me, like being even just a little bit hungry is not I won't sleep. So I always just have pie right before bed, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. If I go to bed hungry, I won't sleep. But
Yeah.
if I eat too much right before I go to bed, 1 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I'm starving, so I can't go back to sleep. So I end up having
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too. Yeah, it's like you got to know yourself too. But yeah, most of the time, like you're gonna disrupt your sleep patterns if you eat too much or too close to bed. So it doesn't bother me, but my pie's like, I don't know, the size of my palm, maybe. Like it's not a big old thing. But yeah, so you guys just got to be careful with that. My body's used to it, so it doesn't bug me. But yeah, just do it like is best for you.
Yeah, it's really important to have good self-awareness. I tell that to everybody on our calls. Have self-awareness. Look, if you're struggling, like if your sleep quality is not there, assess yourself and figure out the things that you can do better. Some people don't have issues eating close to bedtime. Some people really struggle with it. So you have to make a change. You have to adjust, make a plan to get better at that. And that'll look different for everybody.
Something good
Sometimes
to
I drink
mention is, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say sometimes I drink catnip tea. I know that people are like, "What catnip tea?" But and sometimes I make it for my cat. For if you ever watch your cat when you make catnip tea for them, they'll go crazy for like a good 15-20 minutes and then they're knocked out. Like catnip is a really good tea to kind of help bring your immune
Nice.
system down, and it's a member of the mint family as well.
Nice.
I
Anybody
was
else?
going to add, yeah, I wanted to mention like some people, like if you like to get a tea or something warm before bed, maybe a coffee, some people like to do that. Just make sure that it's decaf, so
Yeah.
it won't affect like your sleep related to caffeine.
Good warm drinks, warm teas, stuff like that. Very good for helping promote relaxation. Absolutely. All right. Exercise. We're all here to either, gain muscle, get stronger, burn some fat. So exercise is a big part of a lot of what we do. Regular exercise improves sleep quality typically. When we work out, we're training our body to recover and it's relax and come back down from that stimulus that we put it through. And that long term helps our sleep quality by helping our body learn how to relax and recover. That's what we're doing when we sleep. So regular exercise does improve symptoms of insomnia and improve time in deep sleep, because you're also just tired from your workout. So as you're getting your body into that sleep mode. Now, light exercise before you go to bed, within a couple of hours, can have good positive impacts on your sleep. Light walking, light running, just cycling, things like that. However, vigorous exercise, really heavy weightlifting, stuff like that, too close to sleep, within an hour or so, can disrupt your sleep a little bit, because it's getting your sympathetic nervous system hyped up, your fight or flight response hyped up, your adrenaline, your epinephrine, your hormones hyped up, which all, of course, throws off your sleep a little bit. Now, this does not mean you should not work out before you go to sleep if that's only time you have to work out. If you come back and you have a really tough schedule and the only time you have to work out is right before you go to bed, that doesn't necessarily mean you don't work out. That just means you need to take very, very important care about your sleep routine and all these other things that we're talking about to improve your sleep quality and allow you to get the sleep your body needs. Don't use that as an excuse not to get your workouts in, but you need to be aware and understand the impact it's having on your body so that you can plan for it. And then, like we talked about, having a good non-stim, non-caffeine pre-workout that late when you go to bed can have a good impact on your sleep. That way you're not like keeping yourself up from the caffeine. There's lots of options out there. If you've never heard of those, you may hear them called pumps or other stuff as well. There's lots of different brands. The pre-workout that don't have caffeine, and then they use other compounds to promote performance, blood flow, and things like that. Anybody have questions on exercise or anything else and how it relates to sleep? No? All right. So, like I said, just because you're working out or just because you have something that's throwing off your sleep routine doesn't mean you just, agree to have bad sleep for the rest of your life. You need to take steps and take action to improve your sleep quality so that you can get the sleep your body needs to grow muscle, balance hormones, and function properly, right? So if you were working out late at night or you're struggling with sleep, I strongly encourage you to explore mindfulness, relaxation techniques to decrease your nervous system activity, to allow yourself to relax. There's lots of different options: guided meditations, yoga, breathing exercises, journaling, prayer for some people. All right. For me, it's simply breathing exercises. There's two up here: equal breathing and 4-7-8 breathing. Equal breathing is starting with 4 seconds of inhale, 4 seconds holding, and 4 seconds exhaling. And then you gradually increase that up to 8 seconds for each one of those. Each one's even. 4-7-8, 4-second inhale, 7-second hold, 8-second exhale. Really, really great techniques to improve anxiety, stress, things like that. A lot of people that have severe anxiety, these are some common tools used to kind of come down from those issues. But doing this before you go to bed, 15 to 30 minutes before you go to bed, it can just be 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a super long period of time, but just doing that a little bit, allowing your nervous system to come back down and relax, can really help your sleep quality. Anybody else do any of these things before right before going to bed, like as part of your bedtime ritual?
I use a similar breathing technique, like when I work a double and have to be back to work, the next morning at 6 to help me fall asleep when I finally get home. In for 3, hold for 4, exhale for 5, and then do that up until I can't do it anymore. I just increase each time.
Yep. That's a good one. Yeah, absolutely. It's very similar. Anybody else do anything? Like have any of these as part of their bedtime routine?
I wouldn't say I really use it for my bedtime routine. But I do like a combat breathing when I'm feeling stressed or I feel like anxious, which is basically you just take a deep breath. And then once you breathe as much as you can, you try to take a couple quick more breaths, and then you slowly let it go until like you completely empty out your lungs, and then you rinse and repeat. And that's something that I do just to kind of like reduce stress, but I don't really do anything before I go to sleep.
Nice. Yeah. Well, maybe you start trying. Maybe you make it as part of your routine. Because yeah, we talk about, doing these type of things throughout our day and tracking our minutes. But timing it is really important. For timing it for those parts of your day that are very stressful, or for when you really need to relax, like when you go to sleep. So I definitely encourage all of y'all, take 5-10 minutes and try some of these techniques out and see if it helps you sleep. Anybody else have anything different? Any other kind of techniques that they use? No? All right. Well, hey, if you're looking for something a little bit more than just a breathing exercise, the Calm app again has lots of stuff on there, from guided meditations to set, soundscapes to stuff like that. YouTube, super simple. You can look up 5-10 minute meditation or yoga stuff. Super simple. Doesn't have to be anything kind of complex. You can find super quick and easy stuff online all over the place to help out with this. Find what works best for you. Find what you enjoy. Find what you like, and implement that consistently, and it should help you go to sleep. All right. Now, here's the important part of all of this. None of what we've talked about so far matters if you don't do this. It's very important that you create a routine and you be consistent with it. Okay. If you go off tonight and you try to, use aromatherapy for one night, and in the next day you feel like it didn't really work, and you try something different the next day, it's not going to work that way. You want to create a routine, an environment that your body recognizes as it is time to go to sleep. So try a few things, experiment, but try to be consistent for a little while and see if it helps your sleep. And if it doesn't, after a couple of weeks, maybe try something different. Try a different scent, or try a different sound, or something along those lines. Or maybe try one of the other tools. But I do encourage all of you, don't just hop back and forth from different things. Don't give up on something after a day or two if it didn't work. You're creating an environment that your body recognizes as it's sleep time. Consistency, very important. And what's really important about this is, once you get this routine down, even if some parts of your environment change, let's say you really struggle if you have to travel a lot for work, so you struggle getting to sleep in a hotel or whatever it is, and you can bring these things with you. You can bring your tea, you can bring your diffuser, you can bring your maybe you have like a sleep mask to keep things dark. You can bring blue light glasses for your work, whatever it is. You can bring these things with you, implement the environment and routine that you've created, and still get good quality sleep even when you're out of your environment. This is especially important for people who have shifts change all the time, or they are on night shift, and so they get home in the morning and it's hard for them to go to sleep. If you create this routine, you practice these things on a regular basis, it'll help you get to sleep even in those tough situations. All right. So I encourage you all, have some patience with it. Practice it, consistency, make it a habit, make it a routine, and it'll pay off. Like I said, some things are going to work better for other people. For me, the most important ones have always been decreasing my screen time and aromatherapy. Those have always been like the most important ones for me that have helped my sleep quality the best. It may be something different for y'all, but background noise, sound, aromatherapy, screen time, mindfulness, meditations, good cool temperature, and then some foods and consistency are kind of the big key takeaways here. But I encourage all of you to find what works best for you. It may take a little bit of experimentation, but don't pounce around too quickly. Okay, give it at least a week or two, or something along those lines, to figure out if it's going to work for you. And I encourage you, if there's things that you find relaxing, even throughout your day, even if it's not sleep time, try some of those. Like if you like certain scents throughout the day that help you relax, implement those at night. Those are going to be the most powerful ones for you. All right. Anybody have any questions?